Hello, welcome, and thank you so much for being here. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name's Samuel, and welcome to this little space where I'm trying to turn the family garden into a sustainable food forest using agroforestry and permaculture techniques. I've been away for a little while, very, very aware of that. It might mean nothing to you. You might just be tuning in for the first time, and if this is something that you're trying to follow, I apologize for that. I've had to take work on elsewhere, and it means that getting back to the project on a weekend isn't always so easy. I'm back today though, so we're going to do a little walk around. It's winter now, so I'm going to get really wrapped up, and you're going to see we've had a little bit of snowfall, but it's chucking it down now. At least while I'm shooting this, it might stop by the time I get outside, we don't know. So it's wet, it's grey, and that's English winter, but we still get out and we still try and do a few things. So I'm going to take you on a tour. It's going to be as much of a surprise to you as it is to me as to what's going on out there, and suggest a few things that maybe you want to do in these, what I would maybe call down months, where things aren't blossoming so much. Maybe there's a few things still coming through depending on where you are in the country, and a few things that I'm intending to do over these grayer and wetter months to get everything ready for the next growing season. All right, let's go check out that garden. So as you can see, it's a lovely, what some people might enjoy calling the classic British winter. Grey, a little bit drizzly, but weather is simply weather in my eyes. It took me a long while to get there. So you can see a lot of things have retreated. There's actually surprisingly still some buds on these. It's our lovely mulberry. Everything's kind of dying back. Got some borage just there. But again, surprisingly, there's a few things still hanging around. My dad's had a big clean of the greenhouse, so this will be very different. Here we've got, I believe this was some fuchsia. Yeah, there we go. And then chili plants that just really didn't do all that well. And peppers. I think they might be a bit too sodden. So some of them hanging on there, I probably could benefit from bringing them inside later. I think we've got a basil growing in with some nettle, and then we've got some lovely little salads coming through. So under cover there's a lot of things that you can keep growing, and there's hardier varieties of your kales, of your various brassicas, of your salad leaves that will do great in under a cloth, in a greenhouse. Let's go into greenhouse number 2. And this is our sweet potato. So as you can see, the leaves are starting to die back, and from what I've read, this is a good time to pull back and just see if there's anything actually growing underneath. Now, I don't know if maybe I need to get really in there, but there we go. There we go. A beautiful red, or purple rather, sweet potato. So that's something that's done pretty well, surprisingly. So we're bringing those inside. A lot of your cuttings maybe that you've taken, pardon me, I've got a bit of a sniffle, it is that time of the year, in the summer, bring them inside for some shelter. This is Pohar ground cherry, still going. So again, there's a lot of things that will do okay in greenhouses. Bring them in and give them some shelter. This is our kind of more south-facing space, so it has outlasted a lot of the other stuff in the garden, especially with the greenhouses. Okay. And we're going to head on up that way. So I've stopped quickly by our compost area. This is the new one that we built. And this one's been here forever. And I could do with covering up the other two bays as well. Now this is something that you can start right from the get-go, is cover your compost, because you don't want it to cool down too much. You want to keep that heat going, keep that natural bacterial activity in there. Coming into winter, we get so much rain over here that you can end up really cooling that down, and then if you get a particularly cold spell, you could potentially denature your compost bin. So keeping it covered, keeping it warm. I've actually got some insulation foam, so dropping some of that on top of it could help as well. And it's a good point to stop as well, because we have our fruit trees here, and you can see all this vertical growth. So that's something you can be doing October, November time, is cutting that stuff back. These are actually going to come out. I'll probably take some cuttings and see if they'll survive and try and move them into a different area of the garden. Our apple tree is still doing great. So we're not going to spend too much time in this space. I just thought I'd give you a little look. You can see where the gorse is kind of coming back in spots. We're going to be fighting this for a while, but that's okay. It holds the bank together. And there's a couple of little surprises for myself here. Coming through, we've got what appears to be a raspberry, I think, or some sort of currant, but I think it's a raspberry. Again, learning as we go. There's only so much information that can be stored in one head. And as you can see, the birch, oh pardon me, just took a bit of a spill there. A lot of our deciduous stuff, all the leaves have fallen off. And some of these will get moved. It's a horse chestnut. But they'll get moved behind to redevelop this space into a more forested area. This is also actually a really good time to talk about moving trees. To move your trees, the time for doing that is between October and March. It's the dormant period. So while we little humans probably want to be hunkering down and getting cozy, trees are as well. We probably aren't thinking about moving, thinking about staying put, unless it's maybe to somewhere sunny. But yeah, trees love, well, not necessarily love, but that's the best time to move trees, is in that dormant phase where they're sending their energy into the ground, really. They're not looking to, grow their leaves. They're just looking to survive and get through the winter. The fence still needs a repair. But you can get an idea here. We cleared all that gorse back. Like I said, we're still going to be combating it for a while, but it did its job in our garden, making space for younger trees to come through, which we can now move, we can manage, and we can put into that space and hopefully reforest it and improve the biodiversity of this space. So we are in probably my current favorite part of the garden, simply because we've put so much effort into this space. So you can see the trees that I'm still taking down. Limbing them and then taking them down little bit by little bit. I'll put out a video at some point when I come around to taking one of these down, just showing you a few processes that I'm using and safety processes. Not exactly the full-on arborist approach, but using climbing techniques. And this is what we've turned them into. So these lovely solid steps, our little gateway through into the field behind. And there's a lot still lying on the ground. Some of it will get turned into more steps. Other bits, maybe just firewood for outdoors, for having our outdoor fires. And we go all the way from the bottom to the top. Let's go on down. And my dad has helped me process these, lifting the logs around, helping me split them down, and drive in some wedges. 81 years old, still going strong. And I feel like this kind of work, if you know much about the blue zone stuff, look into that. Sadly, I've forgotten the author and the researchers' names on that particular topic, but Netflix did a series, and just type in blue zones and you'll be able to get that information very easily. Yeah, the gorse is really coming back here. But yeah, doing this kind of work, being outdoors, being in touch with nature, eating well, eating food that we've grown, there is a correlation, and perhaps maybe it's anecdotal in many ways, but there is a direct correlation, and research shows that it can potentially improve your longevity. So I'll go with potentially and give that a go. So you can be cutting back your canes now as well. So these are our raspberries. I believe they were raspberries. Or were they currants? Sometimes it can be hard to tell once they're just a stalk, but we've cut them back, and then we'll cut them back a little bit more February time. There's so many different recommendations of how to approach it. Some people cut them right down to the ground as soon as the fruiting season stopped, and some people just cut them in gradual and keep the fruiting canes, get rid of anything that's not fruiting. And here is my latest bit of fencing, still holding up. So these are things that I'll be getting more involved with during the winter months when I'm here. Our chard still growing. That is crisp. This is perpetual leaf spinach, or leaf beet. Our corn simply needs to be started earlier, really early in the year, indoors. We had an incredible summer, that can't be denied. A little bit hot, not enough rain perhaps, but it was incredible. However, we didn't get our corn in the ground, and the lack of water, I think, may have impacted the growth of the corn, which is a very, very greedy plant in terms of hydration. Right, let's leave this area and we'll go down to the last little space. A nice healthy wood store, ready for those lovely indoors days, those weekends, those evenings, cuddled up next to a fire, doing craft work. So I'll be doing some of that over the winter months, cutting some of the trees that we're planning on completely taking out and turning them into spoons. I am planning on doing some sort of Patreon thing at some point, and I would like to do some sort of kind of reward thing with crafts for a certain tier. Here you can see our carrots. I'm going to leave the majority of them in the ground just so that we can get seed for following years. I don't know if that's been, I think that might have been pulled up by a critter. But we've got some purple dragon carrots in there, and then we've got some white ones, which unfortunately I've forgotten the name of. This is a kale, I believe. Maybe Sutherland kale. These are some of the patches that didn't do too well, or they were potatoes at one point. Again, more sweet, well, more corn. I'm leaving some of these things in place just to mulch down tomato plants and as such. And then we've got our lovely sprouts. Trying to form heads, trying to grow up a bit stronger. Again, this is an area of the garden that will get a lot more attention next year, with more muck and more compost to really restore the nutrition that is in the soil. And we've got a lovely surprise here that we're going to pull up. It's lovely shark's fin melon just hiding away there, and that's so ready, easily twisted off. Anyway, that's it in the garden. That's the catch up. I'll do a few more videos when I'm back here more regularly. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this far. If you've enjoyed it, you know what to do. And I will see you in the next video. Until next time, peace, love, namaste.